You know, in our always-on world, the pressure is just relentless, right? Do more, respond faster, never ever stop. But what if the real secret to actually moving forward, to making better decisions and finding those big insights isn't to speed up, but to slow down? Today we're going to dive into the surprising science and the strategy behind the simple but incredibly powerful act of pausing.
Does this sound familiar? You're just bouncing from task to task, putting out fires, reacting to everything, but you never really feel like you're getting ahead. You're constantly busy, for sure, but are you actually being productive? Well, it turns out this isn't just a feeling you have, it's a recognized psychological state.
Yeah, there's a name for it. Cognitive psychologists call this negative momentum, and you can almost think of it like a law of physics. A body in unproductive motion tends to stay in unproductive motion. It's this bizarre state where we're incredibly active, but all our actions are subtly pulling us away from what we really want to achieve. It's what keeps us stuck on that hamster wheel, just spinning and spinning.
And this negative momentum, it usually shows up in one of two ways. On one side, you've got the hurry-up syndrome, that frantic, rushed feeling where you're under so much time pressure that you just start making mistakes. But on the other side, there's drifting, that kind of distracted, complacent state that happens when we're on autopilot and we become careless and miss really critical signals. Honestly, both are dangerous and both keep us from doing our best work.
So the big question is, how do we break free from this cycle? Well, the answer is the pause. And this isn't just some feel-good idea. It's a strategic tool that's actually backed by brain science. So let's take a look at what's really happening inside your head when you intentionally just stop.
So check this out. Our brain has these two primary states. When we're in that constant, high-intensity work mode, it triggers something called the negative emotional attractor, or NEA. Just think of this as your fight-or-flight mode. It's flooding your system with stress hormones like cortisol, and it is exhausting long-term. But pausing, reflecting, that activates the positive emotional attractor, the PEA. And this is the state linked to creativity, to openness, to motivation. It's the mode where new ideas are actually born.
Pausing also helps us literally shift our mode of thinking. See, for routine tasks, our brain uses skill-based control. That's our fast, efficient autopilot. It's great for things we do all the time, but for new, complex problems, we have to switch to knowledge-based control. This is a much slower, more deliberate and conscious state. The pause, it's like the mental clutch that lets us disengage that autopilot and intentionally engage the part of our brain we need to solve the really tough stuff.
Okay, so the neuroscience is pretty cool, right? But does this stuff actually work in the real world? The answer is a huge yes, and we've actually got the data to prove it from this really fascinating study published by the National Institutes of Health.
The setup was amazingly simple. Researchers just had a group of young adults keep a diary for 1 week. That's it. Their only task was to write down their thoughts about a stressful or difficult situation that happened each day, what it meant to them, and what they could maybe learn from it for the future. And the results were, well, they were remarkable. After just 7 days of this simple little practice, the participants showed a significant, totally measurable jump in the quality of their positive relationships with others. Think about that. Taking just a few moments to pause and reflect literally improved how they related to the people around them.
But that's not all. Their self-efficacy, which is really just a fancy way of saying their belief in their own ability to handle challenges, that also shot up significantly. By reflecting on stressful events, they didn't just understand them better. They felt more capable, more confident that they could handle similar situations in the future.
So here's the crucial part. Why do relationships improve so much? Well, when the researchers actually analyzed the diaries, they found that a full 75% of the stressful events people chose to write about involved other people, conflicts with partners, family, or friends. The reflection was targeted right where the stress was, so the growth was targeted too. The pause gave them the space to process the very thing that was causing them the most trouble.
Okay, so the evidence is pretty clear. Pausing to reflect really works. So how can we make it a consistent habit in our own lives? Let's break down a simple, actionable framework you can use anytime, anywhere.
This is the REFLECT model, a 7-step guide to a really effective pause. Let's just walk through it real quick. R is for relax. Physically step away from the screen. E is for exhale. Use a simple technique like box breathing to calm your whole nervous system down. F is for follow. Just follow your breath to anchor yourself in the present moment. L is for listen. What thoughts or feelings are coming up now that it's quiet? E is for explore. Look at that internal dialogue. What stories are you telling yourself right now? C is for create. Consciously create a new response instead of just falling back on that old knee-jerk reaction. And finally, T is for transform. Over time, these tiny little pauses reshape your habits and ultimately your impact.
But listen, for any of this to work, there's one mindset shift that is absolutely essential. The goal here is not self-criticism. Judging your past actions just re-engages that stressful NEA state we talked about earlier. Instead, you have to approach your own thoughts with curiosity. Ask, what can I learn here? This one simple question keeps you in that open, creative PEA state, where the real growth actually happens.
All right, so let's bring this all together. It's time to completely reframe what it means to pause. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a waste of time. It's a strategic advantage.
Look, the key takeaway from all of this is that pausing is not about stopping progress. It's about enabling it. It's the deliberate act of giving your brain the space it needs to shift from that reactive autopilot to intentional problem solving. It moves you from a state of stress to a state of creativity. It's how you break out of that negative momentum and find the clarity to take the right action, not just the next one. So, the next time you feel that wave of overwhelm rising, you have a choice. You can fill that space with more frantic activity, or you can give yourself the gift of a strategic pause. The only question left is, what insight is waiting for you on the other side?